Is this thing on? The Art of War is my next book to be reviewed by Sun Tzu. This one translated by Thomas Cleary. The Art of War is one of the foremost studied books on military leadership, military um, action, military aggression, um, not necessarily sort of the politics of military, but there is some political statements in it. And what's interesting about it is as old as the Bible. It was written by a philosopher in ancient China, and it has been translated many times and had different interpretations by different historians, which was interesting reading this particular edition, because it had many different interpretations from even other historical philosophers. And so it's one of the most studied books on military power, military action, aggression, and it's very insightful when you read it. And so it's highly recommended because of its historic impact, both on military development and also on aggression. So I'll be going through some quotes. Again, Substack will have different quotes that I'll be going over. First quote for the video. That is to say, which political leadership has the way? Which general has ability? Who has better climate and terrain? Whose discipline is effective? Whose troops are stronger? Whose officers and soldiers are better trained? Whose systems of rewards and punishments is clear? This is how you can know who will win. This quote sort of sets the stage for the entire book and sort of where Sun Tzu is looking at how you can determine who's going to win in a potential conflict by viewing and assessing values to all of the characteristics of any parties involved in that conflict. Now, again, I think the limitations of this book is it's not as applicable to modern warfare as it was even just 600 years ago. I would say sort of post World War II, the nature of warfare has shifted a little bit significantly beyond what was put into the book. There's still elements that is very relevant in terms of modern warfare, but post World War II, with the types of technology, that technology is a little bit more determinative than some of the other sort of more social elements in this book. But it was very, very much a factor in any wars, really prior to World War One, World War Two. All right. The next quote is, "Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby, you can be the director of your opponent's fate." This is still very relevant today in terms of planning military action works best when both your opponent, your enemy, has no idea what your intentions are, no idea how you are operating, no idea what your both your intentions and your capabilities. And so this is what formlessness means: is do not advertise broadly what you want out of an outcome. Do not advertise broadly how you can achieve an outcome. If you advertise those things, and what Sun Tzu defines it as, you're taking a form, and when you're taking a form, you're harder to defend against, and you're harder to deploy any uses of aggression, any uses of force. It's harder to deploy when people know what you want, people know what you can do. It's really only effective is when you can do things so effectively that there is no way to challenge it. And this is sort of the U in this sense is military organization power, but it's also the U in those who have controls of those militaries, those who are leading the charge, those who are issuing the commands. It's important that whenever you're speaking, people don't know what you want. Whenever you're speaking, people don't know what you can do. Once they know what you want, once they know what you don't want, they can use that against you. And so it's important, as any form of person seeking power and potentially using aggression, to do it in a way that people don't understand, to do it in a way that people can't rationalize your position. Last quote. So the rule of military operations is not to count on opponents not coming, but to rely on having ways of dealing with them. Not to count on opponents not attacking, but to rely on having what cannot be attacked. It goes further back to what I was talking about before there, with the level of strength that you have so that people don't want to attack you in the first place. In modern political context, that's a certain military alliance between many democracies. But alliances aren't always necessarily that thing that can't be attacked, but it has been the most effective in the last 7 decades. And in terms of, you have to always rationalize the potential of aggression, the potential of people wanting what you have, people necessarily either being greedy or having grievances about what you have. You have to be understanding that people will deploy violence, people will deploy aggression. And it's not necessarily something you yourself can control. It's not something that you yourself necessarily have the ability of doing the things that change the emotions. You can try and communicate language that'll perhaps subside some anger and subside some feelings of wrath, feelings of envy, feelings of jealousy. But words alone are not always enough. And so, sort of, the context of aggression always existing is often supported by aggression in use of defense is necessary for your own existence. So definitely more content will be in the Substack. And I highly recommend this book. It is one of the most studied books in sort of human philosophy, military philosophy especially. And um, anyone who wants to understand aggression, this is a first book I would go to. Not necessarily a Christian book, but I think it's more human. But there's still a place for ethics, and that will come after my series on aggression. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to let me know what you think about Sun Tzu's Art of War in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next one.